All right, folks, back with you here. Our goal for today is to make it through. That's our goal. Make it through round number 1. Sometimes in the world of broadcasts and streaming, technology sometimes doesn't go the way you planned it. So, as long as everyone can hear, his audio is working. Thank you, Scott. That's what I'm talking about. That's good news this morning. Vaughn checking in. Shell, Lonnie, Glow Bowler. Catch 22. Rico, Queen, Olivia, Rebecca, Net, Ryan, Kim Beck, Brenda, Dave, Ryan. Players in the world kind of get out and do what they do on a pattern that they don't know from a graphic perspective. They don't know any knowledge of. But at that point, that's why the practice session in these situations when you don't know the pattern, obviously so important. The practice session is important in general. But when you don't know, that shot there let me know. It didn't look that bad, but maybe a touch slow, maybe a touch left. And so you can still get into a little trouble as Kelly strings, or her string ends here in the 7th frame. But Pajak lost the footing just a touch at the release point. All right, here's Daria. Brummett to the left. Make that 5 in a row for Sydney. Spare opportunity for Daria, and she takes care of business. Spare shooting, folks. And over to Pajak. Daria, of course, shaking her head there. I mean, who right now are outside of the number it would take to, or the points number, to be a part of the Tour Championship. The 32 appearance. I didn't think that was right, but Shannon mentioned that yesterday. Daria trying to find something here. Kelly is trying something on her fill shot. Like she moved a touch left as well, but to carry 244. That's a very good start for Kelly Kulik. Let's see what Daria can try to figure out here. This is game 1. That was a pretty good shot. You see already around third arrow. You know, the lower rev players seem to be able to start further right. The higher rev players can and should be able to get left early. Obviously, we would put Daria in the higher rev player category.
And then go with that and kind of try to look ahead, you know, make your moves. If you're moving pair to pair, make them quicker so you can kind of see the end of a game of whoever's playing there. And whoever is maybe on your team as like closely to Liz Culkin, who is a good friend of mine as well. She has a little more hand than I do, but 1, I know her game pretty well, and 2, we went to the same. That is not like a pessimistic thing. I think that's very realistic. I mean, they make it look very easy, and so I'm just, yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard, and so
as you just mentioned, the moves and the players are being a little smart about what they've learned, perhaps from either reps or other players in regards to sharing some information. 10th again, working on 280. Speaking of parking, here is Pajak, who has moved further left since the last time we saw her on our featured page.
She actually posted a really interesting thing. I think it maybe was on Facebook or Instagram the other day, where people comment on her physical game a lot and say she has talent, and she's really good at communicating what we're doing and why. And so they're not just telling you, hey, pick up this ball and throw it. We're talking about why. Why are we doing this? You know, you learn from all that. You basically learn
96.
all that.
Missy Parkin, 8th at plus 60. A tie for 9th. Danielle McEwen and Liz Johnson at plus 56. Good shot there from Daria. Maria Jose
Spin it
Rodriguez.
more to get it a little further down lane, or do I want to roll it more and get it to read a little sooner? Or how sharp is it going to be off the spot when I do that? I mean, it's very tricky, and there's a lot to it. And yeah, it's just, you just hope that you pick the right variables, or if you have a shot that's fairly close, you can go off of that.
Here is Daria. High flush.
I think Daria's just going to keep
On yesterday's
migrating.
practice session, that there were multiple angles that the players could potentially try to attack. So it could be that lower referee players could stay right, maybe a little later. Obviously, high rev players could be able to kind of get in the Daria comfort zone.
Yes.
And that
For
seems
the
to be.
leftier who can let more, I actually think these lanes are doing a little better for you. I think there might be a little bit of a puddle down lane that if you're throwing it a little straighter, that's what they're hitting.
Question for you in the chat, Danny. If I would imagine I know the answer, but if you could,
You know, get a little more versatility in myself, but
so what we really need is just time.
yeah, you got to make time.
Right.
Everybody has time. You got to make time.
I like that.
I like that nobody bowls the same. I think everybody has great quality. It takes a little bit to just catch up. She
Right.
stayed at our house. You know, I talk to my parents every day. You just got to make time for it. And sometimes you're going to have days where it's not happening. But it's the same with prepping for bowling. You know, if you're 100%, for me, puts my pin probably right in my ring finger. So I drill a lot of stuff like that unless I want something super specific. Like if I really want to clean, I already do so much different that I don't feel a whole need to, you know, have 85 layouts in my bag just to figure out what I want to do. So
Nice. Okay.
try to keep it fairly simple.
Gave a few pins back. She shot 177. She's at plus 111. Sandra Gongora, 17th at plus 106. Player on tour, for example, kind of goes about building an arsenal. And I imagine, I know it changes. You know, there's certain levels of you know, access and things you have with brand representation and the whole nine. So, but when you get down to it, you know, how do you gonna go about what bowl number? Like, do you have to have, like, I need this many symmetrical balls in my arsenal to feel comfortable, or do I need this many pearls or whatever?
It depends on just definitely something smooth rolling, just something you can control. And you know, and it's predictable. That's kind of watched a lot of the PBA, like that. This was before the PWBA relaunched. Watched a lot of tournaments, just watched a ton of bowling just to see the differences from just ball speed. Stephanie Johnson is your prime example there. And then when you hook the lane, you think of Daria.
We put her, we can now put in that classic style category, or timeless style, if you will, simply because we've seen Kelly do this at a very high level, obviously for a very long time. That's probably going to be in the category of classic styles in the future.
Yeah.
Strike in the 5th, and Poplar is clean through 6. Here is Daria Pajak.
That was a great shot. Yeah, she's struggling. Oh, that's right. It's a
27
great
and
night.
28.
It's gonna be close.
There
She
was
can.
one
let's
other
see.
person. Let's see. Liz Colkin was around the number. All right, Pajak, final shot, 10th, or excuse me, not final shot, second shot in the 10th frame, beg your pardon. All right, that's going to get her